Welcome to our Zoom classroom. I'm Amanda Graham, and I direct engagement at Carolina Performing Arts. And I'm one of the curators or creators of the Feedback Institute. And this is the first class in the Feedback Institute, which is something completely new for us at Carolina Performing Arts. In this moment when we are not able to present performances on our stages, we are able to continue our engagement work in a really meaningful way. And as you know, what feedback does is it brings our artists who we have long-term relationships with in communication with our UNC faculty members who are experts in the performing arts. And they will have conversations with one another. They will prompt one another to think about their own practices and different things that are going on in the world right now. And you all are the first folks to really engage with them and take part in something like this. We're also joined today by the wonderful, incredible Faye Driscoll, who is going to be joining us for a number of classes. As you probably know, she is a choreographer, and when she isn't here, she can tell you more about this. She's actually choreographing a Hollywood film right now, so you can certainly ask her about that during the class or afterward. And Faye is going to be facilitating today.
In the work that I make, a big thing that I feel that I'm doing in the liveness of it is a lot about charging up the space between audience and performer, the space between in this space of the space of object and sound. In creating an evening length work called Your Me, which I made in 2012, I started this practice with a performer that I performed in it with called Jessie Zarrett, where we would basically, maybe you've all done something like this. It's like Theater 101, where you stand in front of the person and you try and just be them, like a mirror exercise. Like you try and move just like them and study them. And so we did this, though we were really trying to actually become each other. Like we would do it for hours and try and like mold our faces into each other's faces and stand just like them and feel their breath and feel the posture. And we would enter these very strange kind of hysterical places where we would be laughing and like starting to do these strange little dances, and it would feel like you couldn't tell who was starting it and who was initiating and who was following. And as I tried to become him, I felt him trying to become me. And then really what I felt was that neither him nor me was there anymore, but it was this third space. It was this third space that was alive between us. And we called that Chad. We called it this character Chad. And we would often wear these blonde wigs and these like pink shorts as we did it. And we would say, let's Chad. We would kind of do this practice regularly as part of it actually never made it into the work that we did. It was just part of a practice. And so Chad and chatting, I feel like, is one of the primary things that I am doing with audience, that I'm trying to activate inside the live work. It's activating this alchemistic space between you and me. And a lot of my work is about worlding in that way. It's activating that sense of co-creation, of culpability, of how are we always participating, whether we think we are or not, getting away, in fact, from the flatness, the passiveness, just the sit back and receptive viewer, and activating in often very sensorially complex environments through sound, through song, through the sound coming up through the seats of the audience, through sets that move around you and that force your body to get up and move, through asking you as an audience to hold something that actually is being held across the room by someone else. I activate a sense of interdependency. We need you to make this. You're here for a reason. And so that's been a lot of my research, particularly over the past 7 years, in a project called Thank You for Coming, which I was working with UNC to bring, and am still working to bring, when we can do such things again, when we can, performers in this piece are all tangled up in each other. There's a foot smushing into a mouth, and we roll into the audience's laps, and all the biggest COVID no-nos are happening in these works. And so in this impossibility of this time, I'm feeling even more almost examination and like examination inside the longing of the thing I had never had taken away from me before. Understanding or trying to understand what actually it is that it's doing, and the impossibility of recreating it. This isn't really it. We all know that, right? So during COVID times, I started before COVID times to make a series of audio pieces. They're called Guided Choreographies for the Living and the Dead. They were part of an installation that I made for the Walker Art Center, where the audience would come in and listen and be asked, guided through a very strange kind of guided meditation choreography that was like directives and prompts from a lot of the Thank You for Coming series, and asked to move in a room with other bodies. And then that installation opened and COVID hit. And so I put some of these guided audio choreographies online, and I'll share some with you. I don't want to spend time doing that now because we don't have enough, but I'll put that in an email and invite you to check that out, and maybe check out some trailers of my work as well, so you have some more visual. But I've been really interested in these times in the oral and how we can connect through the oral. I've felt even more intimacy in the phone call right now, and in coming in through these guided audio choreographies into the my voice, moving into my voice, which is my, often this act of the inside coming out, right? This moment where our autobiography bursts out through our voice, through the cracks in it, through the vagal nerve, the connection between the heart and the brain, how much you might know about someone through that sound, or that something's wrong with them through that sound. And so reaching in through my voice into the bodies of the listeners, and complicating again this loop of self and other by directing them, and in fact complicating whether it's their body or my body that I am directing, and also calling in incantations of other bodies and those that have been lost. So hence the guided choreographies for the living and the dead. So that's just a little bit of context of how I've been working and who I am. I wanted to, in fact, kind of get us a little bit more activated and do a few gentle practices together, which, looking at the time, we'll only probably do for like 5 to 8 minutes. But just some invitations, because I know throughout the course, these artists are going to want to do various experiments and scoring. And I'm very curious how we can kind of wake up this processual body inside this, hot computer in front of us, and the screen, and the tired eyes, and the lack of touch and sensory information that we depend on and need as humans. So let's just, if you could all just move your head around to start. Move your head to the left and maybe twist and look over your shoulder, and see what's over there, and move the other way. See what you notice. Looking up and the ceiling, maybe lean back in your chair. And look down. Just sort of looking around your space. Say a fixed head, a fixed spine is a fixed mind. So how is it you can loosen up where you're looking and what you're seeing, and how you're here right now. See if that sort of affects a certain loosening of thinking. Maybe experiment with a little bit, shaking your head around. And I invite you throughout this course, as we sit here, you don't have to perform still head. You can move your head around. You can do what you need to do to take care of this corporeal animal, right? That needs a little more. And now let's just stand up wherever you are if you're comfortable standing up. If not, you can stay seated. And I'm just going to move my camera if you like. And I just invite you to kind of shake your body a little bit, maybe starting with your legs. So sort of shaking and jiggling your legs. Shake your legs out. Get the blood moving into them. And then shake your booty, shake your hips. Do a little salsa dance. And shake your belly and your chest. Shimmy. You can keep that looking around if you want. Keep seeing what's around you. And shake out your arms, your shoulders. Whew. And your head, wiggle your head around. Shake your brain. And then let's shake everything at once, maybe for 10 seconds. See if you can shake as much as possible. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then come into stillness, wherever you are, just standing, sensing your feet on the ground, feeling the air around you. Feeling your heart, your breath. Once again, just looking around, I want you to see some things in this space that you're in and just name them. Kind of like you're a baby seeing things for the first time. Just saying it out loud. Lamp, door, photograph, lamp, books, dog, wallet, cards. Now I want you to name things. We're going to just do a little thing that kind of helps our brains get out of, again, a kind of stuck pattern. We're going to look at things and name them what they're not. So I'm going to look at my chair and say dinosaur. So you're going to just kind of make up a series of lies about what's here. Cotton candy, unicorn, superhighway. Brush. Fixings. Good, and let that go. And I want you to come to just taking a moment to bring your gaze to your hands. And just taking a moment to observe your own hands. Bringing the entirety of your mind's eye into your hands. So not just the visual sense, but actually activating the felt sense of your hands. Just taking a moment to appreciate them. Feel the history in your hands. Perhaps noticing the work that you've done. Feeling the family, memory. And noticing the connection between your hands and your heart. Between your hands and your brain. Feeling how your hands touch and grab tools all day long for communication. Feeling all the tools that your hands touch and how those tools change your brain. How the brain then moves the hands to touch the tools. All those you've touched, all those who have touched you. Just do one final kind of shake out or toss off, just appreciating that circulation of energy and communication, maybe freeing up your hands a little bit, the wrists, all that energy, all that texting, all that typing, all that cooking, all that caring. And just to close this practice, bringing the hands to a part of you that might need a little attention. You can just intuitively feel where that is. Maybe it's tense shoulders or feeling a sense of anxiety. Just sending presence through this touch to that part of you. And when you're ready, come back to the group. Just taking a moment as we land, I just want you to just continue this last little bit of this sensory opening, sensitizing, experiment with each other. And I just want to see if you can just take some time to observe a little more deeply who's here. So looking into your screen. And just seeing if you can notice anything more about your fellow participants that you didn't notice before. Activating some curiosity. If you want to put it in grid or scroll through, whatever works for you. Thanks, Savannah. And then taking a couple moments, might be awkward, but just look into the camera and just imagine that you're really sending a lot of like care and intimacy and presence. And then look back at the screen and you might know that you're being seen sometimes in that moment where you're sending it and someone might be perceiving it. Moving between for a moment the camera and then the looking and scanning and noticing plant in the background. Thank you, and we'll end there. So presence is a practice, presence is a labor, and much more of a labor now, right? And so how in this course together are we able to activate, make it together, activate the space we want to be in,